Good evening. Hi, Cher. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Heart of Homeschooling show. Another show for
How
you
are
this weekend.
you?
I am fine.
Hi,
I'm
partner.
great.
How are you tonight?
I am great. Christmas is in the air. Really, I'm feeling it is cool weather the past few days. I don't know if it's the same
That's
with you
right.
in your area, but
Finally, you feel that the cool breeze going around the city. So
yeah,
we're a little bit ready for the holidays.
exactly. Actually, my family just decorated last weekend, so we're a bit late. But you know, actually, it's when you start decorating that's when you actually start feeling Christmas
That's
is
right.
coming here,
So
right?
so
So
you're all set up, partner. In your home, you've decorated already.
yes, we put up our
Great.
decorations.
The
Actually,
tree the tree
just
is up.
November 30 during
Great.
that one day
Just I'm
holiday.
asking, you know why? Because in our house we don't have the tree up yet. So if you're late, I'm probably later. So holidays are rolling a little slowly here, although we have some of the lights outside, but no tree
Yeah,
yet. So that's
yeah.
why
I
I'm
know for
asking. So
busy
you're all
moms
good
like
now.
Yeah, we're busy moms like us and all the other moms out there who taking a break now.
Yes.
Decoration can take place over a couple of days, not really in just
Yeah,
one day.
sometimes weeks,
Yeah,
sometimes
sometimes
weeks,
weeks.
depending. So yeah,
And
give
just when
yourself
it's
the
about to
grace.
end, that's when you also have to
That's
unpack
right.
and all
That's
that.
right. But it's all part of the theme. It's about the it's about the
Yeah, true.
season. So not all the not just the decoration. So, moms, give
Mhm,
yourself the grace to just take it easy. And speaking of
mhm.
moms, welcoming all of the homeschooling moms and dads as well. Thank you for joining us once again for another episode of the Heart of Homeschooling Show. We know we were supposed to come in 2 weeks after. We just had a show last week, but
Mhm.
the December is here, and we thought it's the perfect time to kick off, Christmas month with a new unboxing series. So that's what we decided to do for this episode. And you all know that the first episode of the month, we do have that special series for you where we unbox different concepts,
Mhm.
things, I'd say curriculum that's related to homeschooling. So today we are going to be doing that. Partner, what are we going to be talking about today?
Okay, so tonight we're going to have a guest. We will introduce her in a little while, but we will be talking about interest led learning. So, what is that actually? So, I know a couple of weeks ago, a couple of shows ago, we did talk about unschooling. It's pretty much, well, our guest today will be explaining a little more about how it is like unschooling, but also how different it might be. There are misconceptions and ideas that might she might explain a little bit more about it later. So tonight we are going to be really unboxing and unpacking what interest-led learning really is all about.
That's
Yes.
right. But before we talk about the topic, I know this is the end of the week. Well, the end of almost the end of the week, and this is the time when a lot of
Year. Okay. Hi, Cher. Okay, it's okay. I guess Cher got disconnected. So I hope if you're still there, do still stick around because we are just going to be introducing our guest in a few minutes. I hope Cher can go back on board. But
Welcome to the Jesus Centered Life International Family Conference.
Hello. Thanks so much to the more than 20,000 people from around the world who joined us last December in the first Jesus-Centered Life Conference. Isn't it that we all enjoyed one international speakers, 57 Filipino speakers, and also 57 panelists from around the world, parents, teachers, and students. Wow! Now, given your enthusiastic feedback, I can feel that you are wanting to share this great gift of JCL, this great joy to so many people we are in contact with around the world. And this is in fact the very theme of this year's JCL 2021. Share the joy. Because this is the very message of Pope Francis to us. You receive the joy of the gospel, stolen, the good news that God so loved us, He gave His Son for us, Jesus Christ. You are, He says, a joyful person. And so He urges us, reach out to others and bring them the hope and joy of the Lord. Jesus-Centered Life Conference, JCL 2021. Share the joy. And so, take action. Register today. Invite others to register so they too can share the same sparkling joy. Maraming salamat po. Many thanks.
Oh my gosh, we are back. Oh my goodness. Right. Reality of show. Sorry about
That's true. Life happens.
happens. And when they say, you've heard of that excuse, the dog ate your homework. This time around, the dog literally killed my internet connection. Oh yeah. So yes, it does happen. So sorry to all of our viewers, but we hope you had some time to grab your drinks. We just disappeared off air. Oh my goodness. Live show reality. But again, we are back. Let's hope no more. Our dog will not be walking around anymore.
Anyway,
But yes.
it's part of being real.
Yes, this is part of reality TV shows. So, partner, let's get back into the discussion. I know, again, we're
Yes.
here not because of the internet connection, but we're here because we are unboxing another homeschooling topic tonight. And you did say this is about interest-led learning. We are going to be hearing from, I'd say she's an expert because she's been doing this for such a long time. So she
Yeah.
really has, I guess, the wisdom to share with all of our viewers today. And again, this show is for all of homeschooling parents, whether you're a new homeschooling couple, if you've been doing it for quite a while and you need the inspiration, the encouragement, you just want to see what other parents are doing out there, or if you're thinking of homeschooling, this is the perfect place for you to just kind of learn about the concept. If there's something that is boggling you about the term, if you don't know anything about it, please feel free to join us. We go live sometimes with funny things like tonight, twice a month, and we talk to different people in the industry. You'll hear real life stories of parents, families that are undergoing the homeschooling journey so that you can learn from all of them. All right, partner. I guess enough of the intro. Would you like to tell our viewers who our special guest is for tonight?
Yeah, so I'm excited to have her, and she will explain more about what we are unboxing tonight. And I'd like to welcome Miss Alex Howe. Alex, hi. She's a mother of four kids, and I'm surprised also that she already has a daughter who's
I
working.
know, I
All of
know,
them
right?
were
So
homeschooled. Yeah, so
fantastic. So let's welcome Alex in a couple seconds.
yeah.
Hi, Alex.
Hello. Welcome to
Wel-
the Heart of Homeschooling show.
How are
Welcome back.
you? Oh,
I
Alex,
think
hold
you're on
on.
mute.
We can't seem to hear you. There, let's
Here,
see.
can you hear
Let's try
me?
again. There you go.
Yeah,
Hi,
much
Alex.
better.
Hello again.
Hello. Good
Hi,
evening.
welcome to the Heart of Homeschooling. Thank you so much for spending your weekend with us. It's such a joy to see you online, and I'm excited to hear from you. And like what my partner said, we cannot believe that you already have, one of your kids is already working age because you look so youthful. Because you look so youthful. So welcome to the unboxing series of the Heart of Homeschooling, Alex. We are so excited to learn from you. But before that, we know you have a drink with you. The guests here usually, we all have our drinks with us. What drink are you having tonight, Alex?
I just have water.
Water for Alex. How about you, partner?
I'm having my favorite chamomile tea again. And
Chamomile,
you share,
guys.
what are you having?
Well, tonight I'm just having some decaf iced coffee. I want the taste, but I want to sleep tonight. So maybe one of these episodes, guys, will really drink wine. Please
Yes.
stand by. We promise to do that. We didn't do it again today, but one
Yeah.
of these days, right, Sig?
We-
One of these
It's
days.
getting busier and busier, and we're forgetting to
Busier.
do things
Yeah.
already that we say we will. But I think one of these days we will definitely do that on the show.
That's right. So, this is supposed to be a conversation amongst homeschooling parents, nothing too stuffy because we really just want to get to the heart of homeschooling and we want to hear it. All of the, successes, all of the messy in betweens, the reality of homeschooling. And that's what we're going to try to unravel today. So, Sig, do you want to tell them a little bit more about Alex? We know she has four kids, right?
Yeah.
Before Alex, we get into the conversation with her. Do you wanna maybe let
Yeah.
our audience know a little bit more about her?
Sure, I'm amazed at her. Well, she actually, what's amazing is she's homeschooled all her four kids since they were 2 or 3, I think. Is that correct, Alex? So pretty much all of them have been homeschooled using this method, the interest-led learning method. Right, Alex. Yeah. Well, she'll talk about it more later. But of course, another interesting thing is, yeah, I said I wouldn't bring it up, but she's also she's also Army. So,
Hey, say hi to your fellow. So yes, homeschooling moms. Yes, homeschooling parents do have other interests aside from homeschooling.
correct. Exactly.
Yeah,
We were just
right.
talking
Yeah,
about that just before the show, and it's
correct.
interesting. Yes, we moms need something we. And Alex was telling me she's lucky she's married now because otherwise she'd be off to the next concert wherever they are.
Exciting times. Exciting times. I remember we were asked before in one of our episodes, we were asked, so what do homeschooling moms do for fun? So now you know.
Yes. Yes.
Now you know one of the things that we do. This is one of the things that we do. So, all right. So, okay. So Alex, tonight, every the first episode of the month is really allocated for our unboxing series, and this is where we go over different concepts. We go over things that are related to homeschooling. We try to explain to our audience the pros and cons of different either programs, or if it's a favorite tool or topic, or a program. That's what we try to do for them. So when Sigrid mentioned this term, interest-led learning, uh,
Mhm.
it really piqued my interest. Maybe we can start off with that, with that question. What is led learning?
Mhm.
Interest-led learning happened, or I think I got associated with the term because I gave a talk back in 2016 during the homeschool conference, and that was the title
I
of
was
my talk.
there.
Yeah, I saw you there.
I
But I
listened
did
to
not
you.
come up with that title. One of the organizers, the one who invited me, actually came up with that title after she was reading my blog. And I do agree that I do sound a lot like unschooling. Um,
Mhm.
but I wasn't comfortable to talk about unschooling. I didn't, I just read up on it. I'm not really like super well versed. If there's a movement about it, I might like misrepresent it if I talk about it. So the organizer came up with this. What about interest-led learning? So when I started homeschooling, I did not coin this term. I did not say this is going to be our approach. I'm in love with this approach. I didn't have that in my head at all. So this was
Mhm.
because of the organizer of the uh, 2016 homeschool conference that interest-led learning came to be.
Came to
So
be.
yeah.
So prior to that, because I know based on our past episodes, we were discussing different types of curriculum, right? So you did say, because we were mentioning a boxed curriculum. We've taken that up in the show. Then we were also slightly going over the other methodologies of Mason, right? We have eclectic homeschooling. So prior to your I guess your way being called interest-led learning, you were pursuing, was it you were basically doing eclectic, or was it
Um,
on schooling? What is it?
I read
um
up. I read about homeschooling online, and then when I read it, it just said something like kids who were homeschooled were topping standardized tests in the states. So I got curious. I researched a bit more, and there were a lot of free catalogs. So me being me, I got carried away and started clicking all these things.
The
But
links,
to my
yeah.
surprise, the catalogs did arrive, but they just stayed there all over our house. And then my husband picked it up one morning, and then he said, "You know what? You can do this." And I was like, "Yeah, I think I can." The kids are pretty cooperative. At that time, I had a 1 year old, and I think my eldest was maybe 7, 8. So we talked to the teacher in their school, and then she explained to me that the only way to know if it's for you is if you actually try it. So we said, you know what? Yeah, okay, we'll give it a try for a year. The thing is, I liked it, and we never sent the kids back to school. So my third daughter never went to preschool. My son started school; he was already grade 6. My second daughter went to school; she was already grade 8. My eldest stopped going to school at grade 2. So from grade 3 all the way to fourth year high school, she was homeschooled. And the same for
Wow.
my second. The last time she was in school, she was kinder. And then she was homeschooled all throughout. So yeah,
Wow.
I wrote a
Amazing.
blog about it, and part of the reason
Yes.
why I was blogging was that I was like, what if Dep Ed thinks I'm not teaching my kids? So let me go write that up. Yeah, but also at that time, my eldest daughter, she told me about this whole blog thing. So I actually learned about this from her.
From
I'm
her.
surprised about how much things I learned from my kids. But I'm around them, but I don't seem to learn on my own. I'm always picking things up from them.
That's true.
Yeah. So because she got interested in it, so I said, okay, let me try it first. But so yeah, so that's when the blogging started. I
Oh,
didn't
that's
call it interest-led learning. It was
mhm.
called something else. So yeah, so basically what we did is that I bought box curriculums. I am very poor in math, so I was very, very insecure with math. Interestingly, I bought so much math materials. I myself didn't like figure out what I was buying anymore. But yeah, so we bought a box curriculum. I love box curriculums, but the thing is, because I was not under, we didn't have a grading system. We did not have like a way to rank ourselves up. We just carried on and on and on. And if they were interested, let's say in Egyptology, I got carried away and researched on it, Egyptology also or whatever. So that's how it was. When somebody was interested in music, I was also there. I would buy stuff. Basically, I
Yeah.
think my role was like the person who buys the stuff. I mean, looking back then,
Yeah.
I didn't quite feel like that. I was like, yeah, let's engage, let's do this. I was so like that. But looking back now, I think I was that person. Like, some people shop offline for clothes. I shop online for school materials.
That's true. So, I mean, let's take it through your day, Alex. I mean, flashback, how many years back when you started with this kind of approach? How was your day like? I mean, how was their day filled up with all of these things? Did they just have to choose what they wanted to read or do for that day? Or did you have some sort of a schedule that you
Um,
followed?
we did have a bit of a structure when we started. So we'd have breakfast. It was mostly the routine of the house rather than the academic work that needs to be done. So we had a
Okay.
routine in the house, and there was a day when I'd go to the grocery and I'd bring everybody, and that was counted as field trip. You know, so it was really the routine of the house more than finishing the academic work. I think, very relaxed, maybe to a fault, because I was always like, you know what, you can learn that later. You're really gonna be fine. I was always so like that, and that's not, I can see now that that's not really true for everyone. Some people cannot really catch up. But for
Mhm.
my kids, I was like that confident. Maybe I was that confident because I was also ignorant, right? But this is back in 2000, like 2005. Of course, high school was a totally different thing, and I think like I could have played a more active role in high school to like seek out like where their spaces could be, because I was like
Mhm.
also in a way waiting for things to fall into place. And I live in a place that don't have much choices in terms of activities for young people. We do have activities here in Davao, but again, because I was like basing out on my child's interest, I had a kid who like almost felt like she had no place here. So yeah,
Mhm.
I think I should have been more active with that. That things don't always fall into place. I
Yeah.
had to learn that.
Yeah, I remember we were chatting a couple of years back since we met, and I remember we were talking about accreditation and recognition by DepEd because we had to move. Our kids obviously had to move a level up, right? How was it like with that? I mean, did you feel the pressure of having to have some record of some sort for your kids? You know, I- can
Uh,
you
the rules are very different now. Since September maybe of now 2019, the rules changed a lot with DepEd. There's recognition for homeschoolers anymore. Already, I mean, there's a recognition, there's a definition of what a homeschooler is. That wasn't in place when we started. So I just told my kids, you know what, you're out of school youths. And I think my eldest, like, she has no stigma about it. She was like, "Yeah, I'm an out of school youth." And she one time, she told me, "You know what? I told somebody I'm an out of school youth," and she was shocked. So, and I was like, "But you are, you
yeah,
are."
technically, because they're not in
So
school, so they're out of school.
yeah, literally, you are. I mean, you might not fit the out of school youth profile, but that's so
Yeah,
judgy. Don't be judgy, right? Like
yeah.
I was like in that zone. There are many types of people in the world. You're an out of school youth. You're gonna be fine. There must be a way to get back into the system because there's just so many people who are not in the
Yeah.
system. That's how I felt,
Mhm.
and it's not like we have the number one educational system in the world that we have to be like super snobby about these things. That's how I saw it then.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I just really felt like there's time to catch up. There's a way to do things. Unless you have a very robust system, madadala yan sa ano, another test, another interview.
You're
That's
right.
how I saw it.
Yeah.
Um,
How is it like for your eldest? Because of course, from coming from homeschooling, eventually she did go to college, right? And how was the transition like for her?
I
I
think
think
it
some
was
of your
very
kids are also already in. Are they in regular school already? I mean,
yes.
for some
Everybody is
kids, yeah.
in regular school around 2019. So my last
Okay.
child to homeschool was my second. Because we enrolled her in a U.S. curriculum, so she finished homeschooling. Um, for high school, even though we already have K-12. My eldest daughter was the last batch before the implementation of K-12.
K-12.
I'm sorry, K to 12. That's what they call it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, K-12.
So I
Right,
think my
right.
eldest had a really hard time in school, but she was living in a dorm, so I guess everybody was like homesick in some way. She told me that she had a really hard time adjusting socially. She had to find like
Mhm.
her place, and she was kind of slow in that. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, she managed it. I think the best person to ask is our, the kids who were homeschooled and went off to college, because it's hard for
Yeah,
me
yeah,
to like discuss it, right? And it was hard
yeah,
for me because I tend to be emotional, and in that respect I tend to be controlling also, although I'm super chill.
Mhm.
I tend to call her so much, and then I thought I was going to be in Manila like every week to see her, but I
yeah.
backed off from that, and I think I backed off too much to the man. Yeah. So,
But
yeah,
she graduated right from college. I mean, she finished. I
yeah,
mean, she
yeah,
was
she
able to
did.
do it. So
But
yeah,
she's a very on point kid. Like, she sets goals and she gets really hyper with the things that she set out. Um,
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's
And what
good. She's
about for
not the
your
best way.
for your other kids? How was the transition like for Ashley and for the other kids
Oh, because
when they're
Ashley
when?
was really like dead set on doing something that she liked. So there were no music because she you needed to get a track
Mhm.
for senior high, right? So we couldn't find a
Yes, for
Yeah,
school
senior
that
senior
high.
had
That's
high.
right.
For senior
yes,
high,
and
yeah.
we couldn't find a school that had a track that she wanted, and supposedly it's bawal na to homeschool for senior high. But we kind of figured that if you came from the States and then you come back to the Philippines, alam mo naman
Exactly.
they'll not accept you, right? So what
Exactly,
if we
right.
can, yeah, let's just circumnavigate it,
Yeah.
and get your paperwork done. And when she was about 16, we had this idea that Germany could be a good place to go to because all of these music people are there. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were just like looking into things online, and most of them were in German, and whatever we could translate was like, oh, okay, you need a German language thing. So
Yeah,
okay, enroll in
proficiency.
German
Yeah.
language. So she was 16 and she did enroll in one of the like German language schools here in Davao. So she went there, and then yeah, I think it was hard for her because maybe it would have been easier if we had a youth orchestra here in Davao, which is something that was like a bit we do naman, but it's parang sporadic at that time.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we decided to go to Manila as advised by her violin teacher, and
Mhm.
that's where she finished senior high with Anya in Living Saints. So that
Yeah,
was for
yeah.
her academics, but it was really an intense time for her and for us then, for her family, because she was in Manila, but she would go to Zambales every weekend to join the kids of Pondakit Virtuosi. And then she'd come back to Manila and then go to school and then go back na naman to Zambales on the weekend. So that was her
Wow.
life for like 2 years.
Wow,
And
such
then
a
when my
challenging
eldest
Wow.
went to
life.
Spain, when my eldest went to Spain for her for her junior thing, they have this
Yeah.
program in Ateneo. There's a junior thing abroad, so
Yes.
she went to Spain for that for a semester. We felt that
Correct.
we couldn't leave her in the condo by herself, and there we don't have a system, like we don't have a boarding school here.
Mhm.
So we decided that she stays in Davao. She comes home to Davao on a Monday morning and then flies out back to Manila to go to Zambales on a
Mhm.
Friday. So that was her life.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really wow. I'm still amazed that she did
Wow.
that. Like,
I'm
what?
just listening to it. I'm getting tired.
Yeah,
Wow.
she was really
Quite
tired.
challenging.
I hope that she can look back and see how wow that season
Yeah.
was. It was really intense, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's
But she's
young.
not the
She has
only one. I
energy.
know. Yeah, she did, and I was like, you know what? If you're just gonna sit here and mope and think that life's not happening for me, might as well do this, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
The
yeah,
That's such an
opportunity is there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. For her to be able to say, well, I went through that, that kind of pace, that rigorous pace, that's something that she takes with her, even,
Mhm.
as she gets into all of these other adult things, right? I mean, that kind of
Yeah.
pace, even adults like us, I think, will get tired with that pace. So if she was able to survive that,
But
that really forms character, that kind of strenuous,
yeah, I think
scheduling.
I I think share what's amazing with Alex's story and journey with homeschooling is that some homeschoolers would actually find her. You'd think homeschoolers are, think out of the box already, but amazingly, I mean, I find Alex actually quite brave to actually venture into
What?
something.
No, 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 no,
So,
no, no, not at
this,
all. I'm not brave. I tend to panic easily. Um, yeah, I'm not brave. It was just what was available for us at that time, and I tend to
Mhm,
deduce things a lot. So for me back then, I felt that it was kind of too much to bring school home. So I wasn't excited to do the whole academic thing with grades and stuff at home when
mhm.
they were
Yeah.
still young. So I just
Mhm.
accepted that yeah, you're out of school youth. You're not sent to school. We're not bad people. It's just the way things are for us.
And you're not
Yeah, just like
exactly
that.
anti-school, right? You said that
No, no, no,
earlier.
no.
It's not. Yeah.
I don't want my kids in school. It would be nice if they were in school, but back then there were a lot of advantages to keeping them at home. We had four kids. At that time we had three, and then we added another one. And if the three older ones were in school 8 hours a day, how can they get to know each other? That was part
Exactly.
of my thing. But when we started this, in my mind, we're going to go off to high school because there's prom and there's all these other activities for high school. But that didn't happen for us.
Yes.
The two
Yeah.
older ones didn't go anymore. My third daughter went to school, got interested, and started talking about school because she was part of a swimming team. And one of our family friends moved from the province. So I'm already in the province. There's a more province than this province. And she moved over here to study. And so, of course, they met up and reconnected. And she was encouraging my daughter to go back to school. And so I took to come and join her in school. And so my third daughter was like, yeah, I think I want to try school. So I took her to Manila to take the PEPT because the PEPT is not available here in Davao all year round.
Yeah.
It's just like once or twice a year. But in Manila, there's a schedule every week. So I took her
Yes.
there to take it, and she sat down, took the exams, and passed it in one go. So
Yeah.
yeah, she was direct on a
Yeah.
grade 8.
Maybe for the sake of our viewers who don't know what a PPT test is, Alex, would you like to explain?
PEPT stands for the Philippine Equivalency Placement Test. So
Mhm.
the other test the month that's also given is let's start with the PEPT. So PEPT, you take it, you sit down, you take it, and there's a grade assigned per level. So you start with kinder, and you have math, science, English, Filipino, and Aralin Panlipunan. So of all the subjects, my kids find Aralin Panlipunan and Filipino the most challenging. Kasi syempre ako yung teacher, right? So good luck,
Can
right?
relate. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Can relate.
also the thing is, I
Same.
never really told my kids I'm the teacher. I was always just like mommy. So the part of the frustration of our homeschooling is that wala talaga silang masyadong maaasahan sa akin in terms of stuff like that. Like if it's not in the answer key, then maybe it's not in the that is the approach. Or like they're asking me already and I'm still busy googling because I'm not teacher, I'm mom. Okay, I'm bigger than teacher. It's okay if you don't get the academics, but we really have to fix the attitude. You can't be like picon or stuff with me. I'm gonna be more picon than that. Something like that. So it's always attitude first before academics. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's not like I'm a perfect example. Okay, I'm really not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no,
Stroke.
because when Alex, when you're telling us, these stories, and you're rattling off the experiences, right? It's easy to kind of gloss over everything and think that, wow, it must have been so easy. I mean, like you probably had everything
Um,
figured out, but
no.
really, when when you all those number of years that you were doing it, that's not. I mean, okay, to, just the decision to homeschool one child, right, is not easy for everyone, right? It's not something that people can just go, yes, I'm going to homeschool, right? You
Mhm.
decided to not just homeschool half of your kids, you decided to homeschool all of them. And contrary to what you think, that, because uh, you thought you didn't know any better, that's why you decided to do it. That's actually really brave to kind of deviate from. You said you started from a box curriculum and you took it from there, right? There wasn't even a term for what you wanted to do, and you decided to kind of see what your child and then later on children were interested in, and take that cue and pattern your learning method um,
Okay,
according to
you're
that.
making it sound really organized, Cher. But yes, it's more you're making it sound so intentional, and I have like no, it wasn't like that. So I bought Fox curriculum, and then there are books there, right? So when I
Right.
see that, oh, this kid is like particularly interested in one topic, like for example, with my eldest, she was like, um, for some reason, she gravitated towards Russia, and so we did all this Russian. She did read all this Russian stuff, and I
Right.
was like fueling it because it fills up her time. So,
Right.
napapadali yung trabaho ko, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't like I was intentionally, oh my gosh, let's learn about Russian because it wasn't like that. It's just, it happened to be her interest. So let's go for that. My youngest son, I found it really, really hard when I was homeschooling one kid. Because by the time my second son was in grade five, or what should be grade five, because again, he never had a grade until then. Um, my third daughter was already in school, and I talked to my husband and I said, you know what, our original plan was that he'll go to school in high school. He's going to be incoming grade six this year, but I'm really having a hard time, and we're too. How do I put this? We're like too dense, too pure together. We actually like finish each other's sentences, and I don't think that's healthy. I said that to my husband. So we decided, you know what, yeah, it's time for him to go to school and be with other kids. I found it super hard when it was just one kid homeschooling. There was no distraction. In a way, it was like really. It should have been good because lunchtime lang nakapag-Filipino na kami. And aralin ng lipunan because we were like staring at each other. We were like super efficient, and I don't like that. Maybe because my introduction to homeschooling was chaotic and we had a lot of interruptions. And this time there was just like one kid and me. I found
Mhm.
it like intense with my youngest.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you're making it sound super intentional. It wasn't like that. If you happen to be interested in music, I'm gonna fund that interest
No,
because
but
it's like
right.
naubos yung
No, but
oras within the
Alex,
day doing that.
there is still science to that because I'm just thinking now, right? So, because the term interest led learning, right? And if we're taking it from kids, I mean, as
Mhm.
parents, and you ladies probably know this, right? Kids can have different interests, varied interests from day to day. It can even be from hour to hour. So, how do you, as a parent, now decide which to nurture, right? Like, am I gonna be like one day? She mentions dinosaurs. I mean, what what will make me decide to say, okay, come on, let's go buy the entire set of dinosaur whatever collection, right? Or versus like the next day she sees something that maybe she mentions to you, and mom, that kind of looks pretty or something like that. I think there's something more to that, because that's not necessarily easy, right? To kind of figure out which one do you encourage, which one do you say, hey, maybe let's kind of take a step back from that, or when it happens where they liked it one day and then the next day like, ah, forget about it. I don't wanna, mom, I'm so over that. I don't wanna even hear about that anymore. I mean, how do you go over all of these things?
Usually per kid, the interest is one at a time. And so, like for my son, he was interested in like what was that war? The Falkland Wars. He was
Oh
super
wow.
interested in that. And then
Wow.
I was like,
Okay.
where, when, and where are you ever going to use that information? But because he was so into it, I was like, yeah, it frees me to like bake a little in the afternoon because he's like, I would choose like shows, like documentaries that he can watch, and he would watch it, and I'd be like busy doing my thing also. Um, it's really just super practical for me that it
Mhm.
turned out like that. So maybe in a way, I kind of like now that we're talking, I kind of feel like, was I selfish in just doing this because it really made my life much much easier. I mean, we still do math. Math we do every day. We don't do science regularly. Um,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not a science person also, but I did try, and I tried more with science than with Filipino. Um, yeah, and then of course Philippine history. I was like super opinionated, and my opinions are not necessarily right. And that is not right. Like I taught my kids, you know what, guys, you can't like keep saying Lapu-Lapu is the first hero. He cannot be because at that time. And so when they did the standardized test, they were like really confused because the choice only had logically Lapu-Lapu.
So,
So yeah, I
well, it
think
made them ask.
like start
It made them
in terms.
question.
Sorry. Yeah, like in terms of like if the kid is interested in something, yeah, fuel it a bit. But as the kids get older, I learned that you need to look outside. It can, it cannot come all from me. Like my third daughter, there was a time she was whistling a lot, and I got super excited. I bought her a recorder, and then I got more carried away. I bought a flute without even checking if we actually have a flute teacher here in Davao. So the flute ended up like just
That's
there in
you
the
too.
cabinet. Because like who's gonna teach her? I cannot. I cannot even read notes. So yeah,
But did
I
she
think we should
ever
be
learn?
careful. No, she never. And the funny part is she also stopped whistling. I think because I came in too strong. Diba? Like I
Mhm.
was getting all these gadgets already. Like maybe if I just let it be and then time happened, maybe she'd still be whistling now. And maybe she'd pick up the flute on her own, but I had to be like all carried away. And another thing is that the interest right now can be intense, and we can be very invested in it, but they can always change their minds. And we can't like hold them accountable and say, no, you've gone this far. You really have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, interesting that you're starting to say share all of these things that you realized, but maybe let's take it a little further. If looking back at your 14 years or so of homeschooling, Alex, what were your learnings? I mean, did you have any regrets about what you did in the past, or would there be anything that you would have reinforced also in your homeschool journey?
I wish that I was kinder, like in my
Mhm.
manner, in the way I talk to each kid. I think I wish I was like much, much kinder because in terms of the material choices, like where we could have taken them, or the things that we could have done more, um,
Mhm.
it, we did the best in that part. Like for
Mhm.
example, my younger kids traveled more than my older kids because when my older kids were growing up, all this piece of fair stuff wasn't
Yeah,
available, right? So
wasn't available.
when the cheap fair started, that's when we were like able to do um, more things in terms of like
Yeah.
moving around, right? So I
Yeah.
can't really say like I should regret that part because I understand why we were not able to do those
Mhm.
things. But looking back
Circumstantial
at
also.
myself, yeah,
Mhm.
looking back at
Mhm.
myself, I just wish that I was like more calmer and kinder towards everybody. Um, yeah, towards my kids, like more mindful. I already thought I was mindful back then because I was reading all these mindfulness books, but no, I really wasn't. I try to like pat myself in the back and say, just imagine if you were not reading all those mindfulness stuff, you would have been more horrible. But yeah, I wish I was
Wow.
more like that and like more relaxed. Well, because my kids tend to say like you're too relaxed, honestly. So I really don't know how to balance it, but I wish that I like saw them like each um, for how they were and what they were going through. In a way, maybe it was bad that I was so sure. I was so sure of them. I was so sure of myself.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
was comfortable. I was comfortable.
How does your husband figure out? I mean, in this whole thing, I mean, how did he, did how was he in terms of participation? Was he support to you? And tell us about maybe his
Oh, he's
role.
very supportive. My husband is like, I tend to talk a lot. My husband is more reserved, but he's very supportive. He's like, how do you put this? He's like the principal, the promoter of all of this. Um, he tends to be surprisingly more like into this than me. As I said, no, in the beginning, it was him who said, you know what, you can do this. He was the one who said that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and he doesn't like really like he only said like make him do math every day. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and he's there,
Interesting.
he's here. He's like this really quiet, sure force behind everything. That's how I describe him. He's like not imposing, but he's so there without being imposing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like supportive of all my Bilibili curriculum stuff here.
You've
when
got a
when
good
like
partnership
yeah,
there.
like when my kids are like when I have doubts, I can really like talk to him, and it's usually I can like describe how I feel nonstop for the whole night. If if I'm down particularly, or if one of the kids are going
Mhm.
through something, and I'd be crying and very dramatic, and he'd be like, he can like narrow it down and say it in a few words, and then yeah, that's what I want to say. I usually end up like being like that. Like when I describe things to him, it's like super damning words, and then like he'd be listening, and then he'd say it in like 3, 4 lines, and he'd be like, "Yeah, perfect. That's exactly my point."
I borrow your lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's more
So
like
fun.
that.
Mhm. How
So I
would
guess it's that partnership, right?
Yeah,
That partnership between you and your husband that kind of made you. I know you started out from the beginning. You already said you were sure about it. You said I'm doing it, and I'm doing it all the way. But
no, not all the way. Just for a year.
just for a
When we
year, right?
started, we said
Exactly, and
we'll
then
just
you
try it
liked
for a
it.
year. Yeah,
Right. So that really, I
Mhm.
guess, also plays a part. Even if because we know that we do have homeschooling dads who watch us. So hello, homeschooling dads who administer the lessons. They're the ones that take care of some of the subjects. They're the ones that are in charge. Mom tells them to teach this subject, and they
yeah.
do, or subjects, and they do. So they help us that way. But for you, he did have to teach any of the the topics, the subjects, but he was there sort of like the
No, I
reassuring
I
voice.
did that a lot too. Like, oh my gosh, there's this science thing. Can you deal with it?
So
Silence.
he did pitch in every so often with a teaching.
Yeah. But same. I usually like dictate it because I'm either like grossed out to do it, or um there's a lot on my plate. Do it with them like that, or like he likes it. Because when the kids were younger, we would read to them at night, so he would do that. But yeah, he has his own version of getting carried away, like choosing like really difficult books for an 8-year-old. But he bothers to like read that and
Expand the
finish it.
vocabulary.
So, yeah, something like that. Bahala na siya. Gusto masaya sila, di
Interesting.
ba?
Interesting. Interesting.
What would your I'm just curious. Probably what would your kids, since they're all out of homeschool now and they're in regular school, what do you think your kids would be telling you? Well, of course, the best way is really still to ask them, but since they're not here now, what do you think your kids will tell you now? I mean, having journeyed that far with you, I mean, the past years homeschooling them, what do you think they'll tell you now?
Oh, we do get to talk about it. It depends on where they are in their lives. I think they overall understand the choice. They understand why we did things a certain way, the limits of where we live. Um, Sometimes they're like, "I'm so happy, mom, you're like that," and other times like, "You can't do it like that." Like they would say that. I think the important part is we get to talk about it, and I don't get
Mhm.
upset when they say something like something that's kulang before, or something that I did that I can acknowledge is wrong now. Yeah, we do get to talk about it. I can't like
Mhm.
say that they're super happy with it because I don't think they are. I can't say that they're they're like angry and miserable because of it, because they're not naman din talaga. But the thing is,
Right.
Mhm.
we have
Yeah.
to follow through with the choice that we made. And
Mhm.
like for example, for
That's
like my
nice.
daughter is in Germany right now, and she left at a very like what would seem like a very impractical time. But for me, she was willing to do the legwork, and she was willing to go through the whole quarantine thing. So yeah, we
That's
should
nice.
support that. We can't
Uh-huh.
say this is the end of the road for you because this is happening to the world. I mean, if things fall together and you're meeting the right people, then go. Um, yeah. that was my husband's thing, because I was like really nervous about this and I cried about it. And he was like, you know what? If things fall into place, you'll be able to go. Whether don't stand in the way now because of your own fears.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really
And
depends on where they are when we talk, or
correct.
the
So really,
particular situation.
just really be there for them, support them. And I like what you said about following through with the choices that you make in life. And I think that's really important. That's one of the lessons I think that we can impart to our kids. Like, if they make a decision to go through with it, and at least see it through, see it till the finish line, and teaches them also perseverance and standing by the decisions that they make. That's also one way for them to understand consequences, and it's a way for them to mature fast also. But what about you, Alex? I mean, I'd like to hear from you about how this homeschooling journey of yours, how it has changed you. Has it changed you? Has it made you better? Has it opened up a certain realization about yourself, that you take now with you?
I don't have a comparison of me not
Yeah.
homeschooling and me homeschooling. So I only have one life and I chose to do
Yes.
this. So
Mhm.
I guess regardless of whatever choice I did in the past, I'd be geared towards saying that I think I'm better now.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
We also.
Does that make sense? Did I
Yeah.
understand your question? Yeah. So
Yes.
I don't have a comparison of whether because yeah. So yeah, I think I,
Definitely.
I I learned a lot from it. I
Mhm.
learned a lot from my kids, and I think a big part that I had to like discard as my kids got older is that I'm not the
Mhm.
center of the universe, because I used to be really like I
Mhm.
dictated when bedtime was and how things will be. And I think I like that. I was comfortable being like everybody's boss, this little people's boss, right? But then eventually they started having like their own ideas of how things are. And of course, when we talk, and I think that's the most important part, that we can talk. For some of my kids, it was really hard for them to like turn a page. For
Yeah.
others, I feel like it was more natural. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, the important part is to get there where we can talk and they can see me. Um, yeah, they can see me for for based on their age. Like my 24,
Yeah.
by the time I was 24, I had three kids already. My 24-year-old would always say like, "Oh my God, I'm a grown-up child. I have to do it." Right? Or what do they call themselves? So, a large child. That's how they represent themselves. I cannot parent a child. I'm a large child myself. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I guess your relationship also adjusts as you get older. I mean, at different stages in your life, they also,
yeah,
grow up into that kind of, relationship that you have. It matures as well. Some parents say that as they get older, they become friends more than mom child.
Yeah.
And I guess I'd like to take also off from what you said earlier about in the beginning, you initially you're like the center of attention. Pretty much that's how it starts off, really, especially if you're homeschooling very young children, right? It's really the parent who initiates first, and then allow them to, or the parent gradually disappears in the scene, from the scene, and allow them to take on and make decisions for themselves, and in your case, choose their interests and choose the path that they want to take. So, and you play more a role of providing and support for
yeah.
their interests, like what you have been. Wow, so interesting, actually.
So, and
So
I have a lot more questions for
I
Anna.
Go
I'm
know.
really
ahead.
curious, right? No, no, no. It's the. No, I know because I know Sig has questions as well. It's just that when I'm just wondering, right? So you say uh I'm more of the I'm trying to picture how your date is, and I know you were telling us like, okay, so if he's interested, I have some baking time, right? But when you were already teaching two, three, and did they all four kids at a time? How was your day? I mean, did you guys when you guys wake up, they like tell you, mom, today this is what I want to do, or did you have like, okay, for this time, whatever? How does that go when you have 4 kids?
We would wake up, have breakfast, say goodbye to my husband. It was such a ritual. My eldest daughter was like sharing a few weeks ago how like she would be so miserable if she wasn't able to say goodbye to her dad. So we had like stuff
Oh.
like that, and then we'd go upstairs, and then we'd do like math. I like to start with math to get it out of the way for the day. So I usually sit down with the younger kids, and then the older ones they have their math work, so they do it maybe 30 minutes, an hour, I don't know, and then it's time for merienda na ulit. And of course, there's four of them, so merienda lasts forever. And then we do another subject. Usually, like for English or reading, because I really didn't do the whole phonics stuff. I just read to them, and then I'd show them how to read words. Um, yeah, I'd get a book, and then I read for everybody. So if I'm reading Nancy Drew, I choose the book, and then I read it for everybody, like that. So that covers reading, or that covers the entire English thing. Because there's four of them, I can't possibly like read to each one, right? Except at night, because the books are
Yeah.
shorter. So yeah, that's there's a lot of combined subjects,
Mm-hmm.
which I find you cannot do in high school anymore because biology is biology, chemistry is chemistry. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they have to do it. They have to. We relied on the box curriculum for that. So they
Mm-hmm.
do have like a way of doing it. My eldest is like she's super organized, and I'm super surprised that she's organized because I'm like yeah, I'm not like a free for all. Yeah, so yeah, but I do like structure. I believe that children thrive in high love, high structure, high control environment. So we do have a fixed bedtime when they were younger. Um, yeah,
Yeah. It's
that's how
interesting
it
how
was.
they learn from you and also from what you're not, right?
Yeah,
And
and also in the
it
afternoon,
has.
I make it a point that we have an activity. Not everybody, but I usually go out with one kid, either ballet or music lessons or something. So we're usually out in the afternoon. As they got older, of course the schedule was like not afternoon anymore, right? So yeah, we needed help for that to organize ferrying people back and forth wherever. Um,
Right.
yeah, but in the beginning it was like that.
Mhm.
So
That's
so
how
there
it
was structure, because
Yes,
I wanted to
absolutely.
bring that up, because again, we want to give our viewers a balanced view of what this methodology is all about, right? Because when you say, like, for me at least, when you say interest-led learning, there may be that misconception that there is hardly any structure at all, right? So
I
I think it
know. I was really
from yeah.
sorry.
Go
In
ahead.
terms of content on what we're learning, I was major free for all. I was free for all in the content of what we're learning. But in the way the house and the kids and the day was run, I really like to have it. You're up at 7. This is what we do next. This is what we do next. And I tell the kids, okay, on Monday we're going to do the grocery. On Saturday it's so and so's birthday party. So on Friday we're going to be in the mall to buy a gift. It was like really like that. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and then it's not like if you have, you know, um, family activities were like super highlighted because yeah, it takes me away from always being with them. Like for example,
Yeah.
my husband's Filipino Chinese, so my father-in-law would like prepare these mga that incense and stuff when it's the birthday of his
Yeah.
mom. I mean,
Yeah.
my husband's grandmother and things like that. So my kids would be there, and everybody would be like, "Oh, you don't have school." And then eventually, when everybody went to school, it was just us adults. And my father-in-law would say, "Where's everybody? Where are the kids?" And I'm like, "My kids? They're in school." Yeah. So
So interesting. It is.
I
So
don't
see,
agree
I
with
guess,
letting kids stay
right.
online until whatever time of day. Um,
Mhm.
bedtime was strictly enforced up until maybe they were 13, 14 years old.
Mhm.
Now that went out the window because like my third daughter is enrolled in an online sixth form
Mhm.
college. So there's a
Right.
time difference of about 7 hours. So she's up until like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's out the window now. But when they were much
Right.
younger, um, yeah, I think a high structure is allowed us to like have peace in the household.
Mhm. Mhm.
Interesting. Yeah, I see. So again, thank you for sharing that. Because I think that's one of the things. Again, if you are contemplating on maybe following Alex's path, right? You're trying to see if this way of homeschooling is for you. That's maybe one of the considerations or one of the things that you need to know. That just because you say it's interest-led learning, it doesn't mean the kids have a run of the house. Like they can just do whatever they want, or there is no sense of time or order, right, or structure. Because from what we know as well as parents, especially if you're trying to nurture your children to be creative, don't they say that usually creativity comes within some form or structure, right? Like if you want to harness that, there's that box that they go into, and then they feel the safe space or security by which they could be creative. So thank you for sharing that, because I don't want our audience to kind of see, hey, Alex is she says she's so laid back, so siguro they just do whatever they want and they bake
Mhm.
all day because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what the
yeah.
kids say. So
Okay.
there's no
Yeah.
such thing. So okay. So we
Well,
just
at
want to
least
dispel that notion.
for us, it wasn't like that. When I say I'm super relaxed with the academic stuff. I mean, my kids are not going to be kids forever. They cannot, they're not feral. They're not pinabayaan sa wild, right? They are part of a home. They're part of society. So, no, they cannot like run around and do whatever they like whenever they like it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Fantastic,
Wow.
great, great insight,
For
partner.
my question is, siguro for those who are watching right now and have heard about interest-led learning, what would and are contemplating now of doing that? Maybe they feel the structure is really, or maybe the boxed curriculum or what is something that they are not interested in doing, or in, yeah, in incorporating to their homeschooling. What advice
No,
would you
say
give?
hi. Mary
Um,
says hi,
Again,
hi.
hi, Marie.
Hello.
My eldest daughter and Marisa's daughter are friends. They met in college.
Yeah, Sophia.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Small
you're
world,
right.
hi. Of course, we had her
Hi,
back in
Marie.
in one of her uh, last episodes. Go check that
Yeah,
out if you wanna hear from her. So
the
yes,
episode.
hello.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us
yeah.
today. Yeah. So
The
you're saying,
rules,
Alex?
okay, the rules of
Go
Dep
ahead.
Ed were very different or were non-existent for homeschoolers when we started.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I was more like, um, you know what, there's no definition, so there's really nothing, you're either in school or out of school. So we're just out of
Mhm.
school. That's how I saw it now.
Mhm.
If you want to try this, learn about, I would suggest read up on how it's going to look like by checking Dep Ed first. But it seems silly, which is something that I did back then, to call Dep Ed and explain your plan, because that's what I did. I called the local Dep Ed office and I was like explaining, like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and they were like, why? Diba? I mean, back then I was like, what do you mean, why? This is 21st century. You haven't heard of a. But I was like, wow, intense, right? Sorry. But yeah. So just look at the rules, because sooner or later, nothing lasts forever. Have a why. Why do you want to do this? I was so carried away when we started. I also had a mission vision statement. Dito ako lang rin yung bumabasa and my husband, I showed him. But I bothered to type it, and then I bothered to like, yeah. Okay, so if you want to
Presentation.
homeschool, read up, yeah, for myself. Read up on the existing rules now, because they're not the same as
Yeah.
how it was in 2005. Eventually, nothing lasts forever. You have to eventually like maybe join the system. So
Mhm.
learning is very different from education. 'Di ba? Hindi mo magkaiba sila. Education, of
Right.
course, there's bureaucracy and stuff like that. And of course, people tend to
Right.
work in dens. And I think that's something that we should recognize, whether you're stepping out of the system or you're staying there. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's that's what I would do. I wouldn't also like make choices now banking on things changing in the future, because
Mhm.
malamang hindi. It
Mhm.
wouldn't, like, I'm not saying change is not going to happen. It does happen, but it's super slow from
Mhm.
my experience. I'd be surprised if like the things that should be done now would be done in the next 2 years. I'd really be surprised if that happens because like when my eldest took the PPP, it took another like 6, 8 years before they actually changed the rules to make it more
Wow.
sensible. Yeah.
Mhm.
So imagine, tapos na siya ng elementary noon. Tapos na siya ng high
Yeah.
school noon.
Yeah.
Diba? And
That's
people are
true. Yeah,
taking
you're
these this test every day. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, well, yeah, to be fair with Dep Edit, it has actually evolved. And you're right
Yes, it
about
has.
it. It recognizes already different modes of learning. So that's actually one of the things that they have incorporated into their Dep Ed policies. There are different modes of learning. You have, of course, homeschooling, there's online learning. And I think it's in recognition of the different learning styles of the youth nowadays, right? The students, you can't just really put them all in the classroom and learn the traditional way because more and more children are, you know, especially with technology exposed to different kinds of approaches, and maybe it's in recognition of what their learning styles are as well. So that's true. DepEd has evolved also, and
DepEd,
it's
yeah, and
yeah,
DepEd
good
is
for
a
us.
standard. Debit has to have a standard. They are the standard, right? And we're number what in
That's
the
right.
world? 76 out of 77, 74 out of
Yeah.
75. I'm not sure, right? But anyway, they
Yeah.
are the standard. That's the point, right? So you can't just like go to DepEd and insist that I really should be grade 5 because you know what? I've memorized all the capitals of whatever country. Kung wala
Yeah.
naman yun sa Pilipinas at wala naman yun sa curriculum natin, di ba?
That's,
So
oo.
it's very hard to say, oh, I'm interested. I'm an interested learner in a place that requires a standard.
Mhm.
So
You're right.
that's another thing. Like, because you might take the PPT and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the dumbest person in the world. Hindi ko siya napasa. But then again, you weren't studying what they were asking for, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
Interesting.
really, our role as parents know our children best, and we have to take on that role of educating them in the best way they learn how. So if it's interest-led learning for you, then go for it, right? And as it worked for Alex, and maybe for those out there who are thinking about it, that yeah, as Alex did it, you can try it and figure it out for yourself if it's for you or not. And yeah, it's really only experience will tell if it's for you or not. So there, thank you so much,
That's right.
Alex,
And I think uh, the
for your words. Go
it,
ahead.
it I think today was very encouraging in the sense that um, we're shining a light again on alternative ways
Mm,
to help our children be the best that they can be. I think that's what we're trying to highlight
yeah,
here. Um,
yeah.
I think Alex, you said it perfectly when you said there's really the big difference between educating, and all the paperwork and bureaucracy that comes with it, and learning,
Mhm,
right? And
mhm,
uh, it, it may this again this way of teaching, like what Sigrid said, may not be for everyone. Really depends on your unique situation. But we invited Alex here today to let all of you know that it is a possibility, and that's what we want to share here in the show, right? To show you different um, uh, possibilities for your family, for your children, ways that might fit them in this at this stage, at this point. It might work for your situation, so it might be worth considering. Is what we are proposing to everyone to know. And
mhm.
like what Alex said, if you change your mind, you find it doesn't work, you can always decide to change. I go back to either regular school, the traditional system, or if you want to try out something else, you don't have to feel like it's the end of the world. Like you try it, it doesn't work, and that's the end, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to highlight in this episode. So thank
Mhm.
you, Alex.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So, any last words you'd like to say, Alex, to our audience and our viewers today?
um, yeah, I didn't start out homeschooling with that intention of, allowing my child, or allowing my child to pursue whatever they want. It just really was the most practical thing for me. If they're
Mm-hmm.
interested, they're busy. Okay, let's fan the flames. That's how it worked for us. I did not coin this term. It was one of the organizers of the homeschool conference
Mm-hmm.
back in 2016 who thought of
Mm-hmm.
this, and yeah, I was comfortable with that more than the other term that was suggested at that time. So
Okay.
yeah, good
So,
luck to everybody. Do read
yeah.
what DepEd has to say about homeschooling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, the
Take.
services are not available through nationwide. So
Mm-hmm.
you might
You're
be
right.
reading
For
something that
region.
absolutely applies in Metro Manila, but not in the provinces. So
That's
yeah,
true. Yeah. Actually, that's one of the things I think that DepEd is also trying to fix. But yeah, so as with anything, there's always learning that takes place.
yeah.
We get better each time. As with any organization, homeschooling is the same as well. So we learn every day, something new every day. Okay, thanks
And
so
also,
much.
last, don't be afraid of
Sure.
DepEd. Like they're really helpful.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
never,
they are.
Thank
whenever we need something, they are helpful. It's just that the service is not available where I am, so I have to go to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay. So there. Thanks. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Alex. Thank you for sharing your time with us and enlightening us. And we are going to say goodbye to Alex for now, but we are going to be right back for our show wrap. All right. And we didn't forget, we know we promised you that there's an opportunity for you to win 1,000 pesos in gift certificates from Amici if you stay tuned and take note of the codes that we are giving out. So last week we did give out a code, and this week we are going to be sharing the code with you again. So it's a lot of numbers and a lot of letters, guys. But if you're getting the pattern already,
Seems
we
like
hope
it.
you know what's going to come up in the next show.
A
So please
surprise.
take note. All you have to do is write these codes down. You have one code left for that opportunity to get that 1,000 peso gift certificate from Amici's. Please write these down, and then you can send that to us at the end of the next episode so that you can be entered
Mhm.
into that raffle for the opportunity to win 1,000 pesos in gift certificates. All right, partner, super interesting
Yeah.
episode today. There are a lot of things. I know Alex is she's actually so laid back, right? And
Yes.
when she was telling us her experience, right? She was making it sound like, oh no, it wasn't really, we planned it. But there was so much looking at all of that, right? I mean, she says she's not brave and all that. She just kind of fell into it, sort of. But my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
that's really such a brave thing to do, to go through that and choose that consciously and continue
Yeah.
choosing that for how many years, right? It
Correct. Yeah.
really takes fortitude, and that assurance. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't even say confidence, maybe, but that knowledge of self, that
Mm-hmm.
yes, this is right for us, and yes, this will work for our family, and this will benefit our children.
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
is
true.
quite amazing, uh,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Again, it probably not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not a choice that that I think can be made easily by just anyone.
That's
But
true.
I think the gift of having Alex here tonight again is to show people that there is that possibility. I didn't even know that there was that we could do that.
Yeah.
And you know, and I mean, like the idea, yeah, but to do it, I mean, and really,
Yes.
and see it, right, and see
Yeah.
it
And to follow through
being
with
lived
it,
out.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Know that, be reassured that yes, her children are, adults now that have joined the real world and they are okay. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, really, it may seem like, to other people, "Yeah, what are you guys talking about in that show?" But I think that's the gift of this episode, today,
Hmm.
right? To show
Hmm.
that possibility for parents, and
Yeah.
I want to thank Alex for that, for kind of bringing that,
Yeah.
that possibility to our viewers. So yeah,
That's true.
that was the takeaway for me. How about you, partner?
Well, really, I like what she said about that. That teaching the child to follow through with their decisions. That's actually that is her story that we've just unraveled in this in this show, right? So yeah, teaching them to be responsible for their decisions as well, and taking whatever consequences or advantages as well that come with it, and learning. But I was really also really amazed that I've always been back in 2016 when she did that talk in in the homeschool conference. I really chose to listen to her talk because I had been thinking about doing that same approach, and I really at that time found her to be brave to do that, and that's why I struck a conversation with her, hit her up on Messenger and asked her really how'd you go about it, how is it like, and I was curious, and I'm just so happy that we have her now on the show. Had the opportunity to actually find out straight from her how she went through it. So it's a yeah, I still think she's brave to do that.
Yes, agree.
A lot
Totally
of
agree.
eye-opening realizations and things for me that admired her all the more for doing that. I mean, you're right, not everybody can do it, but she did it, and so I'm sure a lot of people out there who are thinking also of doing that can do the same. You just have to have the heart. You're right, partner, when you said about fortitude to do that as well. But yeah, and following through with your decisions and take it. If it doesn't work for you, you can always just try again. So
Exactly,
that's what life is
exactly.
all about. Yeah, it's a journey.
Fantastic.
Remember.
Exactly, exactly. And it's a journey that we want to continue taking with all of you. So if you've been following us on Facebook or YouTube, thank you so much. We super value your time and your interest, and we really are grateful that you are deciding to explore homeschooling with Sigrid and I. So please continue to stay tuned. We have one more episode for Christmas, for December, and
Yeah.
we are going to be bringing that to you guys. And for that episode, that of course will be the last episode for the year, where we will also be
Mhm.
raffling off afterwards the gift certificate to our viewers. So we hope
Mhm.
that you continue staying with us, grow with us. Let us know what you'd like to learn about homeschooling. Reach out to us. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Talk to us,
Mhm.
guys, because this show is really about you. And we want to
Yep.
know what you want to learn, what you want to find out. If something boggles you about homeschooling, we are here to help you unravel that. So,
Mhm.
on behalf of my partner, we are going to say good evening to everybody, guys. It's almost Christmas. We hope you are
Yes.
ready.
Holidays. I have to
Countdown.
button.
We hope you're all ready, and we hope to see you back here again soon for the next
Mhm.
episode of the Heart of
Mhm.
Homeschooling Show. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye. Good night.
Bye.